Nope. So in this portion of the video, I'm going to go through an example of how what we're doing in Modules 1 and Modules 2 fit together based on the last program, the research from the last program that I showed in week 3, so that we know that it works. It had major impacts on depression, major impacts on increasing satisfaction with life, increasing well-being. But how does this work? How did we come up with that? How did all of this fit together? So that's what I'm going to present to you now. So basically, I was working with a group of students, seniors. It was about 44 in particularly. A number of them came from 1 or 2 sports teams whose coaches I knew very well. Also, I did a lot of research on that generation and the different sports that they were involved in. And the need that we found were twofold, and they were related. One is they had a severe lack of confidence in themselves and confidence in the group and being able to control what happened in their lives. And then 2, they had a blaming or victim mentality. Often that they saw themselves as victims of either, as simple as we're victims of the refs, it's like the team against us, it's the school's administration against us, but also more generally, like a lot of blaming, externalizing them, rather than seeing what role they played and how they have control over what they can do. So from that research and my situation analysis, I decided self-efficacy, this concept, would best be able to address those needs. So self-efficacy is the belief that one has the ability to exert control over one's own motivation, behavior, and social environment to achieve a goal. It's a lot like confidence, but not so much like how you feel about yourself, but more having the confidence that you can do something, that you're going to be able to improve as a team, or that you're going to be able to learn things, develop relationships, whatever that goal is, that you're going to be able to do it. So that's what I focused on. So then I did a ton of research on self-efficacy, trying to read, all the major research, all the journal articles that are out there to understand, what is it? How does it apply? What is it really? And really what I found is it's a belief, and the way to build that belief is developing different sources of evidence that help to build that belief in different ways. And then I also, from my research, found 5 strategies for enhancing self-efficacy. So the first one was performance experience. This is being able to improve something to improve that belief that they have the ability based on them actually doing something. So either for this, it was a retreat, either during that retreat, them overcoming fears to accomplish something, them sharing things that they didn't know they were going to be able to share prior to going into it. But also where I really tapped into performance experiences is looking at their past experiences and how they've exerted control to be able to achieve certain goals throughout their lives. That's one of the ways that I build on performance experience. The next one is verbal persuasion. So this is having other people kind of share with you, hey, I know you can do this. Hey, this is what I see in you. These are the strengths, the gifts that I see in you, and how you can use it in different ways to develop that belief. So it's basically other people saying things. So throughout this retreat experience, we had a lot of this. A lot of peer sharing, people, targeted questions that help people to identify in one another their strengths and how they've seen them use them in their past experiences, as well as their interactions with them on a team or throughout life. But also I got letters from teachers and parents during different experiences where the students would hear from parents, teachers, coaches, to hear how they saw them, their different strengths, and how they can use them to develop this belief of self-efficacy. Next is vicarious experiences. So this is basically showing or seeing other people do things, and after seeing other people do it, you help develop that belief that you can do it too. So this we did in a number of ways. There was a lot of peer leaders sharing stories of how they've overcome things, how they've been able to achieve different goals throughout their life and grow from different experiences throughout their lives. But also throughout the program, when the students were sharing performance experiences, that served as vicarious experiences, because as the other people in the group, the other students were sharing hey, you know what, when I was in middle school, this was something really tough that I got through and was able to achieve blank, 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 and blank. Well, that then serves as another vicarious experience. The next one, and for a lot of you imagery folks, this aligns closely with that research. Imaginal experiences was another way to build self-efficacy, and this is having time for them to reflect and really visualize themselves, controlling whatever it is that they need to control to achieve whatever the goal is that they set for themselves throughout this experience. The last one was physiological or emotional states, and this it was important in a number of ways. So part of this is like understanding the value of moving around, getting in the right like physiological state, but also a lot of this had to do with understanding the benefits of positive emotions as well as negative emotions. So positive emotions help us to broaden and build, be more open to new ideas, people, and situations. So that was really important for the beginning of the retreat and different parts throughout the retreat. Being able to elicit positive emotions, to make them open to the experience, make them open to the different talks that were going on, the different lessons that are going to be teaching. So really targeted about when to do those. But also there were times where we needed them to reflect, where we needed them to experience what would probably be more on the negative emotion side, to really look at what is it that I want to change, where is it that I need to grow, where is it that I really need to reflect in on my life. So those were also ways of helping them to use those, and intentionally using that type of emotions, but also helping them see how they can overcome anxiety that they might have to be able to accomplish a goal. So this understanding is all well and good, but how do we do this? How do we do this effectively? And I could have done all that research and spent all that work and then put together an amazing PowerPoint and maybe an amazing workbook that I went through, gave it to them in a classroom environment. Would it have been as effective as the retreat that we wound up creating? And this is what I don't know. I'm not saying yes or no to that. Although in reading your stories, there weren't too many of you that talked about an amazing PowerPoint presentation that really, changed your life for the good, that you considered as your high point experience that you decided to share here. So my guess is that there's many different ways that we need to go about this. So figuring out the how is through the group experiential research paper. Now, I shared with you, as the reading for this week, the theory, it's social constructivism learning theory and retreats, as to why I think that's a powerful way to teach this stuff and to help students or athletes to incorporate this stuff in their lives, or executives, whoever it is that you're working with. But let's see. Let's learn from one another as to what you have seen worked and what is it that enables it to work. And again, it might be timing. It might be being able to elicit emotion. It might be storytelling. That might be the key. So all of this stuff, it's just kind of like looking at your stories and sharing with one another to try to figure out what is it that works. So that leads us to the assignment for this week. So I know Dr. Park was really emphasizing the importance of APA, and I think she's 100% correct, particularly for academic papers, but I don't want you to treat this one as an academic paper. So there will be absolutely no APA grade for this. I don't even want you to think about APA as you're working on this, so no APA grade for this. Excuse me. What I really want you to be thinking about in this is creating a working document that each of you and the rest of the peers in your course can use to help, kind of discover what are the things that work and what are the things that don't work. So this is what I'm expecting and the grades that we will be assigning. So I'm going to give 7 points for a clear list of what works and why. So again, you can look at the grading rubric on the assignment, but basically I want each of you to share what are the common ingredients, or what are the things that, you really saw worked in some of your stories, that as you're discussing it, you realize, even though that wasn't in my experience, I've had other experiences and I've seen how that strategy works. Make that list and provide somewhat of an explanation as to why you believe these are the things that work. So 7 points for that. 6 points for a clear list of what doesn't work and why. So what are the things that you have seen? What are the things that you have tried that have fallen flat? What are the things that you think people should try to avoid? And how do you avoid that? And why? What's your experiences or reasoning as to why that doesn't work? Then it's going to be 2 points for like a clear compare and contrast of what your experience said with the course readings. So as I said, one of the course readings is Social Constructivism Learning Theory and Retreats. How does that compare and contrast with what you guys found? Last week's course reading was the Knowles article on what's the difference between teaching adults and teaching kids. Again, it doesn't matter what group you're working with. In my opinion, a lot of that, the strategies for teaching adults is going to be important when you're teaching this stuff because you're not really giving them a grade, and the purpose of positive coaching isn't a grade. It's for them to be able to apply these things in their life to enhance their performance and enhance their well-being. Don't forget to include each person's story in the appendix. I know I've already looked over them all, but I would like it all in one place. And then only one paper per group, but the only APA thing I need is all of your names. So that's the only structure that I'm asking. You can structure it however you think is best and most useful for your group. The last thing or last push that I want to make. So I really appreciate everyone posting their stories on the message boards, and I know some of you already started coordinating either having a group call or a Google Hangout, but let's use this assignment to kind of compare and contrast what works and what's most effective. So one way to do that assignment is just by reading the stories on the message board. But what I'm really hoping that you guys decide to do is to find that time this week, and I know it's hard, use Doodle to kind of figure out your schedules, but finding just an hour for all of you to get on Google Hangouts, Skype, whatever it is, Zoom, whatever it is that works best for you. And each of you share your stories in person and do this assignment as a discussion. Put up a Google Doc. You can be taking notes as you're doing it. Take you about an hour and a half, and then it's done. But I want you to compare and contrast reading it on the message board and having that experience of discussing through a video chat, if possible, just again, to see the difference. What worked? And what was it about having the video chat that made it less effective or more effective? And how does that environment or that experience change? Because that's the goal of this, is figuring out what are the different experiences that we're creating and how does that experience impact behavior change in what you are doing. All right. Thank you again. Let me know if you had any questions, and I look forward to reading your papers on Sunday and your research notes. I'll let you know if you're off track on your research notes, but if you guys are good to go, then I'll just grade those at the end. But so far, so good. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. Thanks. Have a good day.